What is up, guys, and welcome to tutorial 19. In this tutorial we're going to be learning about the differences and what by-val and by-ref means. Now, this is probably one of the most difficult concepts in programming for Visual Basics to understand, but once you get it, it sticks in your head and you understand it pretty well. It actually took me probably, I think it was a day to understand this concept, but that's basically because I had to read text, and all these hardcore programmers was using all these pretty high-tech definitions of stuff that I just could not understand. I couldn't wrap my head around it. So what I did is I've taken the liberty to do a video, and all you visual learners out there like me, I've created this just for you. Now, basically what I've did is I've created a button, and this button is basically going to display our output. Now I'm going to explain this code before you guys start freaking out already. I'm actually going to change this back to by-val, and what I've did is I declared basically an integer up here, a global integer at that. Remember that it's global because everything in my class can see this, and remember, I don't think I've discussed what a class is yet, which I should have already. Basically it's just a file of this basically form. It's basically we're calling a class form1, which form1 is just the name of the program that you're doing here. I'm going to get into depth on class. I should get around to that pretty soon. It's just not been really important to me when we're learning actually the things inside the actual programming part. Anyways, let's get on to by-val and by-ref. Now, the rest of this code, basically I declared a sub-procedure that is going to have one parameter, and that is int yes sir. And make sure you watch my video before this on parameters, or you probably won't understand this unless you've learned it somewhere else. Now, a parameter, we've created int yes sir, and we've used by-val, and you're sitting here thinking, what is that? Well, we'll get to that in just a second. And for the rest of our code, all I've said was int number1 is equal to 10. Our global variable up here is equal to 10, and right here we're calling increment variable, which is our procedure right here. We're calling it, and this is going to take one argument in parentheses, int number, and this is basically saying this right here, 10, since we declared it as 10, is going to be sent up here to this value. Int yes sir will now be 10. And how it's sent up there in a minute I will explain after I explain the rest. The bottom line, basically this is just a message box. It's going to say what int number is equal to. It'll say the value of this number is equal to whatever it's going to display. It's going to be a surprise. Okay, now what to by-val actually means. Now, basically when we pass this number up there, we're passing it by value. Now, what that means is int number is being sent up to this value right here. The value of int number is now the value of int yes sir. Now, what the by-val does is basically send a copy of this value, and you're sitting here thinking, what does that mean? Well, basically it's saying int number is 10, so we're going to send the value of 10 up here to this right here. So now int yes sir is equal to 10, and now that it's equal to 10, int yes sir plus equal to 1, and yes sir is just the variable we declared here. So now we're saying 10 plus, and we're going to increment it by 1. Now you're thinking, okay, well then this is going to display 11. Well, actually we're going to I just commented that out. That's a pretty nice feature. I didn't even notice that up there. Anyways, what this is going to display is the value of the number is 10, and the reason why you guys are probably freaking out because you have no idea why it's not saying 10. Well, basically by-val, since it sends a copy of the variable, and now that this is now the value of what this is and the copy of this right here, then it's saying increment the copy of int number by 1. So basically int yes sir is now equal to 11. I actually want to display that just to prove a point. And that should display it. Now the first message box is going to say 11, and that's because we called the procedure before we displayed our second message box. So that's saying now that int yes sir is 11 because it has the value of the copy of int number 1. So now int yes sir, when we pass this variable, int yes sir is now equal to 10, and we're adding it 1. Now that's pretty much what by val means, and now you're wondering what by ref means. And this is basically almost the opposite of what this does, but by ref is actually the non-default. By val is the default value for when you're declaring parameters in VisualBasics.net. What by ref does is basically when you declare this variable, it pretty much means by reference, and now you're passing the variable by reference. Now what that basically means is we're sending this variable up here, basically the entire value, and now int yes sir is going to reference to int number 1, meaning int yes sir is now going to have, since we're passing this value int number 1, we're sending this value up here to int yes sir, and we're not sending a copy this time, we're sending the actual value and the actual number. So now int yes sir is int number. So now since this int yes sir is a reference, well actually int number is the reference of int yes sir. So basically we just said int number now is int yes sir also. That's kind of a bad way of explaining it, but if that helps any of you guys, more power to you. Anyways, int number 1 is sent up here to this thing right here, and int yes sir is referencing to this variable directly, no copy, and we're incrementing that variable by 1. And now we're just going to delete this right here since I proved my point already. And now that it's by ref, the variable will output 11 because remember it's using the exact value of this variable and sending it up here. Now it's saying int number 1 is the reference of int yes sir, and then int yes sir plus equal to 1. And that's pretty much all on by ref and by value. You guys will probably have to watch this tutorial 2 or 3 times, but if you have a brain, then it should only take you a couple hundred times. But anyways, this was a pretty complicated thing for me to get at first, but I'm sure you guys are a lot smarter. Don't forget to subscribe to my tutorials, and also don't forget to watch these videos in high definition. That's all for this tutorial, and goodbye.